My name is Chanel Goen, and I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here at the University of Georgia's Undergraduate Admissions Office in Athens, Georgia, USA. I'm doing this presentation today on sports scholarships and NCAA policies, helping prospective undergraduate students understand the NCAA eligibility process, as well as the recruitment process and how sports scholarship works. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my own story in here as well. I was an international student athlete. I was born and raised in South Africa and originally came from South Africa to come and play tennis here in the United States. I came over on an F1 visa and got my bachelor's in management and international affairs. And then I did my master's in educational psychology. And I'm busy with my PhD in kinesiology, sports management, and policy, where I research the way culture influences the motivation to be academically and athletically successful at Division I institutions in the Southeast in the United States. So I have lived a lot of what you guys are going to learn about today. I also research all types of athletes that come over to the US and their cultural acclimation. And in this presentation, I hope you will find some interesting nuggets of information that'll help you along the process. I think it is important to note that I also recruit actively for the University of Georgia, where I go and look for international student athletes to enroll at our institution as well. But yeah, let's start this off. So what is NCAA? So I'm going to move my screen here just a little bit, just to make sure you guys can see this pretty well. All right. What is NCAA? So the NCAA is a nonprofit association that regulates athletes of over 1,000 institutions, conferences, organizations, or different individuals. It also organizes athletic programs of many colleges and universities in the United States as well as Canada. And it helps more than 450,000 college student athletes who compete annually in college sports. College sport is big business at the University of Georgia. The picture in the middle there is a picture of our football stadium, and it generates millions of dollars every year for our institution, for example. NCAA Division I, II, and III. So Division I has over 300 member schools and is typically larger schools. And these larger schools can be as large as the University of Georgia, for example, where we have close to 40,000 students on campus. And these Division I schools will offer full, depending on the sports, will offer full sports scholarships for student athletes. Division II schools, there are over 300 member schools, usually smaller schools or mid-sized schools. They have smaller athletic budgets as well, but they also offer sports scholarships for specific sports. Division III has over 400 member schools and is typically smaller schools, but Division III schools do not offer any sport scholarships. They only offer academic scholarships. All right, let me move this again here. All right, so NCAA scholarships in general. I think this is an important slide to consider if you're on your scholarship search journey. There are only 6 NCAA sports where athletes have a good chance of receiving a full ride. They're found in Division I schools, which tend to offer bigger sports programs and aspire to have a national reputation. So here are the 6 sports. So if you're playing American football or basketball, if you're going to a Division I institution in the United States, you will receive a full ride sports scholarship for that specific sport. In women's sports at Division I, if you play basketball, tennis, gymnastics, or volleyball, you will get a full ride for that specific sport. So you'll notice there are more women's teams on this list in an attempt to even out the large amount of numbers that's associated with the men's American football scholarships and basketball scholarships. And this is a Title IX implementation of evening out the scholarships among the schools. All right, NCAA criteria. So secondary school graduates, these are the things you would want to consider when you're applying to institutions in the United States. You have to have a completion of 9 through 12 within 4 years or less of your high school. And then you have to complete specific core courses. So for example, coming out of South Africa, you have to take some academic courses. Like I couldn't just take a bunch of physical education courses. You have to take your maths, your sciences, and things like that. All of these things are listed on the NCAA website as well. You have to have a minimum GPA in these core courses, specifically in grades 11 and 12. You have to have a minimum score required by the SAT, well, submitted through your SAT or ACT test that can be used in the sliding scale as well. And all of this information is listed on the NCAA website. So it's very good for you to go and look and see what these criteria items are. There are over 7 million high school athletes that participate in sport here in the United States every year. So, but only enough college roster spots is for 2% of them. So only 1% get full rides at Division I's. So it is important for you to know as a student athlete what this process looks like and who you're competing against for a spot at US colleges and universities, especially when it comes to sports scholarships. And on the right here, you guys will see the funnel where the process kind of funnels down into your final spot where you go to a university. So you start off with letters being sent by coaches. So for example, in South Africa, I had a couple of schools that was interested that wanted to recruit me. So they would send letters of interest. And then I would craft a video. So I would make a tennis video and send that to the schools. And then these videos would be evaluated by the coaches. And then you make some calls that's made to specific recruits. So for example, I work with all the Olympic sport coaches here at the University of Georgia. There are only certain times of the year that these coaches are allowed to contact prospective student athletes. So these calls are very timely, very intentional, and it has a time cap or a time limit of how many times they can actually contact you as well. So understand that that is an important piece in this process because that's the best time for you to connect with these coaches and really understand the coach's personality type and what they're looking for. And after that, you will see your verbal scholarship offer that's made. So that's when the coaches reach out and say, hey, we're interested in having you join our team. And then you will go on an official visit. So you as a student athlete can go and visit some of these schools where they will cover the cost for you to come and visit their campus so that you can finalize your decision and where you would want to go. And finally, you will sign your letter of intent. And players signed every year to fill some of these spots, to fill some of these scholarship spots as well on the rosters. All right, so contacting your universities and finding the right fit. Start early. NCAA guides on how to contact coaches listed on the website as well. The NCAA website is a great resource for you as a student athlete. To figure out what this process looks like and what the timeline looks like. Consider your probability. So for example, I was a tennis player, so I would have to look at my rankings nationally and internationally and look at my statistics and then do my research and see if the schools that I am interested in playing at actually have students that might be better than me, or am I going to be the best person on this team? Try and find your fit. Figure out by looking at the school's roster and see who your teammates, your potential future teammates might be and what their rankings are, and then determine if that's a good fit for you. So remember, you have over 8 million students that will apply and that play sports in the US, and that'll drop down to 480,000 going into college. So the 8 million is high school students dropping into 480,000 going into college. And with that, the number of international student athletes is actually currently around 21 or 22,000 student athletes competing in US college sports currently. You want to make sure it's academic and athletic fit. Don't just come here for the sport only. Do find a space or a university that aligns with your thoughts and has your college degree program available. For example, when I started, I did not realize that I could study sports management from an undergrad level. If that was an option for me, I would have started that earlier. So find the universities that has your academic fit as well as your sport fit. All right, then creating an athletic CV as well as an online CV. So it's important for you to have these things in place, especially once coaches start reaching out to you and you want to share this information with them, it's good to have it ready to go, because again, these coaches are working on a timeline. Attend some athletic camps. Tell coaches that you're going to be at some of these camps. You can email them and let them know. And that way they will know that you're going to be either on campus or you're going to be competing in a tournament where this coach might actually be at. So for example, University of Georgia, we have a lot of students that we recruit from international scale, especially for tennis. So John Isner actually attended the University of Georgia. If you are a big time recruit for us, and let's say you're going to go and play junior Wimbledon, our coaches might actually fly out to London and Wimbledon to come and see you play. So do let the coaches know where you're participating in camps or tournaments. And directly contacting university athletic coordinators or coaches is fine, but do know that these coaches are probably not going to reach out to you or contact you back soon enough, because again, they're on timelines and there are specific time frames that they can reach out to you per year. If they reach out to you at the wrong times of the year, they could get in trouble. So understand that they might not reach back out to you. However, do know that you can reach out to college admissions offices anytime throughout the year, as the admissions office is designed to help you through the admissions process and not necessarily the scholarship process. That is with the coach directly. So student athlete recruitment, what is the best practices? Research your colleges. Make a list of 10 colleges that you would be interested in. The list will change over time, but this will help you get started. You should research the academic and athletic teams and make sure each school has a place that you would be interested in. Contact the coach. Athletes should email the coaches to introduce themselves and make the coach aware that you are interested in playing for their team and that you're working toward a goal of playing collegiate sports. Fill out the questionnaire on some of the teams' home pages. You will see some of the athletic departments will have questionnaires where it says recruit me. Click that button, fill out the information. That way they can capture some information on you and stay in contact with you. Prepare video highlights. Send the coach the link to these highlights. Again, know that these coaches might not reach back out to you, but if you send it to them, they'll be able to look at it and kind of start thinking about the process of where you might fit on their roster. Keep coaches up to date as to which tournaments you're playing, where you're going to be showcasing, university camps, summer camps. All of these things are important for you to share with coaches so that they know where you might be at, and they can make a point of visiting you or coming to wherever you're at when you're competing to see if they can actually meet with you in person and see how you compete. This is a great example of the probability of high school participants going into NCAA. And this is the percentage of high school into college, and then the percentage of high school to college in Division 1, 2, and 3. So if you look at the first category there, you have men's baseball. You have over 400,000 high school participants, and then it drops down to 36,000 competing in college. And then you see the percentage breakdown in Division 1, 2, and 3. So it is good for you to go and find the statistics and do your research to see where you fit in this numerical count, right? Depending on your sport as well. So for example, I was a tennis player. So here in the US, there was over 159,000 tennis players. It drops down to 7,000, and you will see the percentage of these broken down to Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. And this is women. So you will find statistics and data on international students, domestic students for both men and women in their respective sports. And all of this is available on the NCAA website as well. So do your research, very important. All right, so also research where undergraduate international students are coming from and where are they studying in the United States. This was something important that I never really had the chance to fully understand. But if you come to US campuses, you will notice that, especially here at the University of Georgia, the #1 international population on campus is from China. And then the second largest international population is from India. Third is South Korea. And then actually it's Canada. So it is important for you to know what you're going to see on these campuses. And it's important for you to understand this international demographic in this pool that you're going to be a part of. And you will see 53% of international students come from China and India, with all of them being here in the US. So research team rosters to compare your ability to the current players. Look at rankings and times and stats. And make sure you send those items to your coaches. So for example, if you're the #1 tennis player in your country, you would want to share that with the coaches here. Don't just say, hey, I'm interested in playing tennis. Tell them why you play tennis, but tell them why they should consider you, and consider this like your first job application. You need to share with us what your skills are, what your results are, if you're better than anybody on the current roster that a team might have. Do your top 5 universities, look at the academic programs that they offer, and then also work with Education USA and the admissions representatives. Education USA is a phenomenal tool for student athletes and international students in general to connect with the US embassies in these foreign countries to talk about the process of what it would look like to actually apply and enroll at US universities. They do workshops and plenty of other things and give students the opportunity to really get well knowledge in this area of US higher education. So research scholarship opportunities beyond athletics. You can look for sports scholarships as well, which is pretty important as well. Let's see. All right, admissions and athletics. So athletic coaches identify specific student athletes. Once the coach has narrowed down who they want to work with, they will connect with the admissions department, and the admissions department will then work with the student athlete to get their application completed to a university. So there's early action review. There's things like early action, regular decision, defer decision. There are different application timelines and types. So it's important for you to work with your coach as well as the admissions office to make sure that you submit the correct documentation for your contract and enrollment process at a specific university. Make sure that the university is an athletic and academic match. Get the timing right. The admissions committee will connect with you and kind of get your application correct. And then your letter of intent is the document that you would sign to explain that your intent is to sign with this university and go play there. And I talked a little bit about early action and regular decision and early decision. These are different application types that you would have to connect with the different admissions departments to make sure that you actually make sure that you can get these timelines right, working with both the coaches and the admissions departments. All right, sports scholarships, merit, need-based. You get full athletic scholarships, will cover tuition fees, room and board, books. Partial athletic scholarships will cover just tuition and fees. You've got merit-based scholarships, which is academic-based scholarships. So stronger SAT or ACT scores with a strong GPA will get you some academic scholarships. Then there are some need-based scholarships, and the length of the scholarship depends on what the scholarship is that you have received. Tips on contacting a coach. So it's important for you to understand that when you're contacting a coach, know that the coach might have a specific set athletic budget. So for example, the men's tennis team at UGA rarely gives out full sport or tennis scholarships. The women's tennis team at UGA, because we're Division I, gives out full scholarships for everybody on the team. So you have to understand the coach's budget. That way you will have a better understanding of really what they're looking for and what's going to be the right fit for you. Also know what to include in your sports profile. So for example, put all your statistics on there and really reach out to the schools where you are better than some of the current players on their team. And then again, suggest the timelines, when to start contacting coaches, know when coaches can contact you. That way you can know what to expect and when they're contacting you and what this process would look like. The national letter of intent, you cannot sign this before the initial signing date of the chosen sport, and it must be signed within 7 days, and the university must file the letter within 14 days. Your letter of intent is binding. So that's basically you saying, yes, I want to come and play at this specific university. And know that sports scholarships are only offered from year to year. So it is important for you to connect with your coach to make sure that you receive a sports scholarship for the following year, and make sure you sign all the documentation for that as well. These are some phenomenal resources for students to reach out to. Do your research, look at these sites. And again, this is going to be available. Obviously, this is being recorded. So you can see all of these sites and do your research and see where you can find the best academic and sports scholarship fit for your needs. And then at the end, we're going to have questions here. I'm available in my booth, so feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have any additional questions. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to my presentation today. And let me know if you have any future questions, if you want to contact me to find out a little bit more about the sports scholarship student athlete experience. I'd be happy to share a little bit more about my story with that. But I hope this was a comprehensive overview of sports scholarship and NCAA policy at U.S. higher education institutions. Thank you for listening.